Magandang gabi Pilipinas. Mahigit isang linggo na ang nagdaan ng ginimbal ng isang misteryo ang buong mundo matapos ang biglaang pagkawala ng Malaysian Airlines Flight 370.
Ikawalo ng Marso, lumipad ang MH370 mula Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia patungong Beijing, China. Ngunit matapos ang mahigit isang oras ay naganap ang hindi inaasahang pangyayari. Nawala sa radar at komunikasyon ng Subang Air Traffic Control ang nasabing eroplano. Ako po, si Cathy San Gabriel.
Ang pangyayaring ito ay nagresulta sa pagkawala ng 239 na tao, bagay na pinag-usapan ng buong mundo at nagbukas ng iba't ibang agam-agam patungkol sa kaligtasan ng mga sasakyang panghimpapawid. May paliwanag nga ba sa misteryosong pagkawala ng nasabing eroplano? Ako po, si Kirby Cristobal.
Yan at marami pang iba ating pag-uusapan ngayong gabi. Ako po si Attorney Mark Astrodes. Samahan po ninyo kami sa isa't kalahating oras ng pagtalakay sa mainit na isyong ito. Dito lamang sa MH370, a PTV Special Forum.
Deliberate action. Ito ang katagang ginamit ni Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak nitong Sabado upang ilarawan ang naging dahilan sa misteryosong pagkawala sa ere ng Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370. Galing ng Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia at nakatakdasa ng bumiyahe ang eroplanong may lulan na 239 na pasahero sa Beijing, China noong March 8, 2014. Ngunit sinasabing nawala sa radar ang eroplano bandang 1:30 na madaling araw. Sa isang press conference, kinumpirma ng Malaysian Prime Minister na pinatay ng isang tao mula sa loob ng eroplano ang transponder nito o ang aparatong nagre-report sa location at altitude nito. Ilang minuto pagkatapos nito ay may nagpatay naman sa data reporting system ng MH370. Ayon sa mga eksperto, ang magkahiwalay na pagpatay dito ay isang pangyayaring hindi maaaring mag-ugat sa engine failure. Nananatiling bukas sa iba't ibang motibo ang mga otoridad. Bilang dito ang posibilidad ng hijacking at suicide attempt ng mga piloto. Kasalukuyan na ring nagtutulungan ang iba't ibang bansa kabilang na ang Pilipinas upang matukoy ang lokasyon ng nawawalang eroplano. Ano nga ba ang kinahantungan ng Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370? Ano ang mga aral na itinuro nito sa mga Pilipino? At handa ba ang bansa sakaling mangyari ang parehong sitwasyon? Muli, sama-sama nating himayin at talakayin ang mainit na issue dito sa MH370, a PTV Special Forum.
Muli isang magandang gabi Pilipinas. Napakainit at napaka-misteryoso ng ating tatalakayin ngayong gabi ang pagkawala ng Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370. Siyempre Mark, pag-uusapan din natin yung posibleng epekto nito sa aviation industry. Hindi lamang sa Malaysia, kundi maging sa ating bansa.
Yung pagdami, Cathy, ng ating mga low-cost airlines, siyempre mas marami ang lumilipad, mas marami na ang sumasakay na eroplano. Gaano kaligtas ba yung mga eroplanong yan? Yung mga sistemang para mahanap yan sa himpapawid, gaano kaligtas yan? Kaya importanteng malinaw na mapaliwanag para mawala naman yung ating pangamba.
Alam mo Mark, maraming balita ang lumalabas at maraming bansa na ang nakikipagtulungan para sa paghahanap sa nawawalang eroplano na ito. Pero kung sa atin kaya mangyari ito, handa po ba tayo at meron po ba tayong sapat na kagamitan para maghanap sa napakalaking area?
It's a technological challenge, it's also a leadership challenge, international relations challenge. Kaya pag-uusapan natin kasama ang ating mga espesyal na panauhin.
Dito po sa aking bandang Natin ang Deputy Director General ng Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, Captain John Andrews.
At kasama din po natin mula sa Armed Forces of the Philippines Public Affairs Office, Captain Mark Andrew Posadas.
So, good evening.
Mula naman po sa Philippine Coast Guard, kasama natin Lieutenant Erwin Tolentino.
Good evening po.
Dito sa ating kaliwa, Kathy, kasama pa rin po natin mula sa hanay ng mga estudyante, Political Science Major from the University of the Philippines, Veronica Manalo.
Hello, good evening.
At siya po ay isang economist at dating Economic Development Advisor ng President ng Republic of Palau, Ginoong Ace David.
Magandang gabi po sa ating mga tagapanood.
At isa sa ating paboritong suki na nagpapaliwanag sa maraming issues. Ngayon, ito naman sa airline incident, Dean Edna Ko ng UP.
Good evening, Mark and Kathy. Good evening po sa ating lahat.
Okay?
Nga Mark na lumalabas lalong-lalo na sa social media, no, sa internet, kesyo maaari daw terorista, pero maaari rin daw
UFO.
Oo, o nawala daw
O
sa
nawala.
Bermuda Triangle.
Tanong muna natin dito sa ating airline expert na talaga napakatagal nga naman po sa
Aviation
pagpapalipad
industry,
ng
oo.
eroplano. Captain John Andrews, sir. Ano po ang nangyari? Paano po nawawala ang isang eroplanong Boeing 777?
Magandang gabi po muna. And saan ba tayo mag-umpisa? Sa day one o fast forward tayo ngayon?
Ngayon na po. Siguro, general overview dito sa isyong ito, Captain.
Kasi po kailangan maintindihan ng mga tao na marami mga findings dito na hindi pinapaalam ng Malaysian government or the Malaysian airline. If this information was made available on the first hours when that aircraft was missing, there would not have been too much wasted of assets looking at a place where they knew the aircraft was not there. From day 2 po, you can already arrive at the conclusion that what happened to this aircraft was cockpit instigated. Ibig sabihin nito po, ang nangyari sa loob ng cockpit. Kung sino man nagpapalipad ng eroplano, alam na yun. And there are, of course, information as they became available that supports this fact. Now, after 10 days, ngayon lang po lumalabas ito from the Malaysian government. Bakit po gantong katagal?
Just a follow-up, Captain. Bakit nga po ba ganun katagal? Ano po sa tingin nyo, you being an experienced pilot and having been in the aviation industry for decades?
I will have to start from the beginning. The first information received after 1 hour and 10 minutes, they lost radar contact. This is radar contact with the controllers, commercial controllers to, no? And during that time, the instrument that detects, yung tinatawag namin transponder, which gives signals to the radar controller that gives altitude, speed, position of the aircraft, was turned off. This can only be turned off in the cockpit or if there was something that happened to the aircraft that it blew up. Now, following day, there was already information that after they turned left, they had still radar contact. The military radar still had contact with this aircraft.
Okay.
They claimed they were not sure that this was the same aircraft. That is hard to believe. Because they turned back, they were again entering Malaysian airspace, which we call now the ADIZ, Air Defense Identification Zone. Now, when an aircraft unidentified enters this airspace, the Malaysian government has the capability to send fighters out to intercept and confirm what type of aircraft this was. They did not do this. That is again a question they have to answer. Why did they not do this? So we'll have to assume they knew that was the commercial aircraft. During this 1 hour period, what happened during this time? We know for sure that the one manning the aircraft was a trained pilot who knew rules and regulations. They were initially cruising at 35,000 feet. This is a little bit technical, no? But 35,000 feet is the most economical cruising altitude for this type of aircraft, depending on the gross weight. Now, when they turned left, they no longer were flying under instrument flight rules. What is really amazing is, and this is a fact that has not been brought up yet, they descended to an altitude which is in compliance with ICAO standards of odd number plus 500. So they descended to 29,500 feet. This is the separation required for BFR aircraft. So they knew what they were doing. Now, again, it has been proven that there was no intent to commit suicide as
Okay.
far as the pilots were concerned. So they must have had a plan. Now, during this time, 1 hour, that they were under the radar of the military, did they have actual contact? Was this a hijacking or a hostage situation? Wherein they were still trying to negotiate.
Kaya merong political angle dito, Captain Andrews. Pero bago natin palalimin yung diskusyon, Cathy, doon nga sa kasi na-involved na yung mismong Prime Minister ng Malaysia sa usapin na ito. Naungkat na yung political inclination ng kapitan mismo. Baling muna natin doon sa binanggit na we were looking at the wrong spot. Tanungin natin kay Lieutenant Erwin Tolentino. Sir, sa mga sitwasyong ganito, may nawala. Sino or paano nagdedesisyon ang isang bansa kung saan maghahanap? Saang lugar maghahanap? At sa iyong pagkakaalam dito, paano sila nagdesisyon?
Magandang gabi po. Actually, sir, yung with regards to yung if there would be incidents na nasa maritime environment, yung mga bansa na would usually through your maritime rescue coordinating center, ibabato nila to sa kunwari sa Pilipinas, sir. For us to know dun sa kung dumating sa area natin, for us to see yung area. So kung yung huling yung coordinates nila, then we send out our assets to check. Then sa amin din po sa Coast Guard, we shoot out yung message through sa mga commercial vessels natin to see if there were debris or anything, tapos i-feedback po sa amin ulit, then i-continue yung operation sa amin, sir.
At tumulong nga ang ating bansa
That's right.
initially sa paghahanap dito sa
South
nawawalang
China Sea o sa West Philippine
Oo,
Sea.
aircraft na ito. Tanungin natin si Captain Posadas, ano pong klaseng tulong ang ibinigay ng Pilipinas at bakit po tayo nagdesisyon na itigil na ito?
Okay. So, ang ating Western Command, kung saan ang nakakasakop dun sa West Philippine Sea, parte na rin sa pakikitungo natin sa ating mga kapitbahay na mga kapitbahay na nayon na membro ng ASEAN. May commitment tayo sa kanila, no? So kung meron tayong commitment of mutual support in terms of mga ganyan, search and rescue. So we offered and volunteered some of our assets para tumulong sa paghahanap ng nawawalang eroplano. Immediately after we received the information, the Western Command was directed to mobilize some of its assets to aid in the search and rescue of the missing plane. So, yung Philippine Navy natin, yung saklaw ng Western Command, kasama dyan yung mga assets natin sa dagat, pangkaragatan, pati na rin yung mga air assets natin. So, the assets that were mobilized included two of our frigates na nandun. And then, ang air assets natin sa Navy's Islander, pati na rin yung isang Fokker aircraft ng ating Philippine Air Force. Minobilize din nila for humanitarian assistance just in case magkaroon ng indications na meron ng mga survivors within the area ng EEC natin na sakop ng ating bansa. Na-mobilize din ng ating PF-15 Gregorio del Pilar at saka isang C-130. So, nandun sila on standby. And ang rason kung bakit tinigil na po natin after 10 days yung search and rescue is because yun nga, may mga lumabas na reports indicating that the plane did not even enter that area kung saan tayo naghahanap. So actually suspended lang po siya yung search and rescue operations natin. Kung magkaroon ng any indications na within that area of the West Philippine Sea na nandoon may survivors or may debris, and it is easy for the armed forces to mobilize yung mga assets natin because naka-preposition na po sila sa may Palawan.
Yung sa search and rescue, isang issue yun din, Edna. Pero yung handling ng gobyerno ng Malaysia nito, merong mga nag-aakusa na kulang sa transparency, nabanggit nga po na maraming hindi nababanggit. And interestingly, galing sa China, dapat daw maging open yung Malaysia sa mga impormasyon. Gaano kahalaga yung international relations aspect, yung leadership challenge dito para sa Malaysia?
Sa ating pagkakaalam ay dahil ito ay isang commercial flight, hindi ito isang flight na kung saan may military mission. It's a commercial flight. There are almost 300 people, passengers involved or on board the flight. Mahalaga na ito ay kagyat immediately na ipinapaalam sa karatig bansa at sa mga families or people affected kung ano ang wini-weed out na tsorya, kung ano ang nangyari. At dahil nga siguro hindi ito kaagad nabigyan ng sapat na leadership upang tingnan, i-weed out kung ano ang possibility at kung ano ang hindi posible na tsorya sa pagkawala. Napakahalagang may komunikasyon ang bansang Malaysia ng pagpapaliwanag kung ano ang mga possibilities or impossibilities. At dahil dito, ito ay nagkokos or nagkakaroon ng tension, lalong-lalo na sa bahagi ng mga pamilyang apektado ng flight na ito. Dahil dito, it's also a matter of international courtesy that the Malaysian government takes the lead in effectively communicating what the possibilities or the options are and probably what other nations can do in relation to the support that they need. Sa palagay ko, ito ay question ng siguro yung attitude ng Malaysian government and Malaysian leadership kung paano nila hinahandle ang isang security issue na to. Subalit siguro yung dili-dali, yung pagdadalawang isip at nagkaroon din ng napakatagal na panahon bago ma-weed out ang ilang kadahilanan is to me a matter of a national embarrassment maybe, posibleng nahihiyang harapin ang dahil hindi naman dapat itago dahil kung ano man ang nangyari, may karapatan ang mga bansa at ang mga affected families na ipaliwanag ng Malaysian Airlines through government kung ano ang mga inaasahan at kung ano ang mga posibilidad sa mga pangyayari.
Sa katunayan, Mark, may mga ibang bansa na that expressed frustration over the handling of Malaysia. Sinasabi nga nila, marami sa kanilang mga assets yung nasayang for the more than 1 week na naghahanap sila sa maling lugar pala. Pero aside from the political and international relations aspect, may economic repercussions kaya itong ganitong klaseng ng insidente, Ginoong David?
The answer is yes. No? Kung meron ba siyang economic repercussion, as a matter of fact, dalawang bagay yan. Isang direct, tsaka isang indirect. No? Yung direct kasi, kagaya ngayon, no? Pinag-uusapan na natin yung mga itinulong ng ating bansa, nabanggit ng ating mga gentlemen in uniform, resources na itong na-utilize natin. But on the aspect ng may economic repercussion ba, sagutin muna natin sa punto ng may security issue may breach, may pangyayari. Hindi kasi natin kung ano ba talaga ang pinakadahilan. It's not safe to assume as of the moment. But what is clear right now is there is a security issue. May pangyayari. Kung may pangyayari, ano ang epekto nito? Ang epekto nito is initially microeconomic. Ibig sabihin, ang una nito, yung anong epekto nito ako as an individual, bilang isang traveler perhaps, no? Medyo mag-iisip muna ako ngayon kung bibiyahe ba ako or pagpapalibad ko muna. Number 2, ang isa niyan may epekto din kasi magiging domino effect yan sa negosyo naman ng travel, ng flying, no?
Sa
ng
pagkakailam nyo,
aviation.
sir, na-cancel po ba yung ilang flights ng Malaysian Airlines? Were they grounded for some time o tuloy-tuloy lang business as usual?
I'm not really privy to that. But however, most likely, dapat yun ang next protocol na immediate kasi yun ang nangyayari. Ang third na microeconomic effect niyan, yung public infra. Kasi nag-utilize tayo ng mga resources eh. Di ba? Nag-utilize tayo ng resources, kagaya ng ating mga gentlemen na tumulong because this is our international So these are the initial. Ito yung primary. This is the direct.
Sa ating mga kabataan, Cathy, this happened at a time when sikat na sikat yung selfie nila Ellen at maraming mga pangyayari.
Oscar selfie.
Did this even capture yung mga networking sites na discussions na pag-usapan ba ito? At meron bang pangamba ang ating mga kabataan na since they're some of the most traveled, well-traveled sectors ng ating bansa, nangangamba ba na bumakasyon, pumuntang Boracay ngayong summer?
Ayan. So actually, no, on the side of the students, and also I think not just for the students, but also for the rest of the citizens ng Philippines, I think it's actually a point of parang nangangamba ka rin. Because if it happened to Malaysia, it could also happen here in our very own country. And at the same time, you'll get to think for yourself na, are we even ready? Is the Philippines ready if ever this kind of thing occurs in our country? Kasi for example, nakita naman natin yung nangyari nung bagyong Yolanda. We were not as prepared. How much more for example, when an aircraft crashes, are we even prepared to handle this kind of situation? Doon naman sa social media, it's actually kind of funny because you get memes. Like, for
Doon
example,
lumabas
sabi
yung
nila,
UFO, di
oo,
ba?
UFO daw. Like, for example, alien invasion kasi daw, parang sabi nila, nako-contact daw, nagre-ring yung phone, pero hindi nakikita yung kung nasan yung plane. So, they were like, maybe it didn't really blast, maybe aliens yung kumuha. But, that's just the funny side. But on the more serious note, it's all about whether or not the country is really ready and whether we are prepared for such a disaster.
Mamaya, pasasagot natin sa ating mga men in uniform yan tanong mo. Pero tumungo muna tayo sa ating kasamang si Kirby Cristobal.
Maraming salamat sa inyo, Cathy at Attorney Mark. Siyempre, i-welcome muna natin yung ating mga kasamang estudyante dito sa loob ng ating studio. Galing po sila sa Polytechnic University of the Philippines at Baliwag University. Welcome po sa PTB. Siyempre, may katanungan na rin sila, Cathy at Attorney Mark. Si Ivory Evangelista galing sa Baliwag University may katanungan. Ivory?
Ayan, so magandang gabi po sa lahat ng ating bisita kay Ma'am Cathy at kay Attorney Mark. So nabanggit na nga lang din po natin kanina yung tungkol sa seguridad at marami na pong iba't ibang espekulasyon ang lumalabas tungkol sa kung ano nga ba ang tunay na rason kung bakit nawawala ang MH370. Ang tanong ko nga rin po, meron iba't ibang reports na nagsasabi na merong mga tao na nakasakay doon sa eroplano na hindi naman talaga sila yung tunay na may-ari ng passport na ginamit po nila para sila ay pasahimpapawid. So yung tanong ko po ay para po sa ating AFP, gaano nga po ba talaga kahanda ang ating bansa o ang Pilipinas o ang armed forces of the Philippines para po sa mga ganitong pangyayari po kung sakaling ito ay maranasan po ng ating bansa?
With regards to that is if the angle is terrorism, no, na ma-hijack yung plane. With regards naman dun sa pagpepeke ng mga it's a whole of government kind of approach. Hindi lang kami ang sa security sector ang tumitingin dyan. Because yung nag-i-issue ng passports, di ba, our DFA, and also yung the civilian security within the airports, kung the security systems within our airports, it is a whole of government. Maraming agencies ang involved dyan, hindi lang kami. But in a worst case scenario, kung mangyari naman yung mga gantong klase, no, na may hijacking, of course we will be working with other agencies, the civilian agencies, because it is a civilian plane, di ba, to try to secure the safety of our people. Or we can take so many precautions, pero di ba, kung mangyari man yan, I could say that we can weather it. Kasi kaming kasundaluhan nyo, ang pinakaano natin is part of our mandate is to protect the people and to protect the state. No, so we will stick to that mandate regardless of the resources that we have. Yung pa rin ang tututukan natin. Okay? Did I answer your question?
Yes po, maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat po sa inyo. Attorney Mark, Cathy, ako naman may katanungan kay Captain Andrews. Sir, nung lumipad po itong MH370, sinabi po na naka-autopilot po at umano yung pinaka-aeroplano. Sir, paano po natin ma-determine kung babagsak na po, just in case, yung eroplano, or meron po bang, paano po ba siya makakatawag muli dun sa base para po malaman na may error po yung eroplano?
Alam niyo, itong aeroplano ito, one of the latest aircraft to. It has state-of-the-art thanks there. It is completely fly-by-wire. Ang ibig sabihin nito, lahat ito electronic. And a system has a backup, the backup has a backup, hanggang 4 yan. There is practically no possibility of all of them failing at the same time. So as far as saying that nawalan sila ng communication, lumilipat pa yung plano, imposible po yun. Kasi kung nangyari yung babaksak yung aeroplano, communication is the last one to fail. So there was a positive act to turn off their communication equipment. Yan ang alam natin. Ngayon, alam din natin na hindi naman suicidal kung sino man ang nasa cockpit. Ibig sabihin nun, may plano sila. Alam din natin na hindi pwede galing sa labas kasi itong passport issue, it is a side issue na kailangan hindi pinapasok dito. I think the passport issue is for people who want to travel somewhere else, whatever it is, but it is not for terrorist acts. The cockpit of the trip is so secured that it is impossible to get access inside the cockpit unless it is intentionally opened by someone in the cockpit. So tanggalin natin yan. Sabi mo, may nakalusot, imposible po yun. Meron din niya CCTV at the door, makikita mo lahat na nangyayari doon. Ngayon, medyo mahirap din, 2 piloto na hindi halos makakilala, magkontsaba, nagagawa ng ganito. So papasok yung scenario ganito.
Okay po.
After 2 hours of flight or 1 hour of flight, meron siguro diyang gusto pumunta sa banyo, mag-CR. When he goes out of the cockpit, because the CR is outside the cockpit, that door is locked. And whoever is in there can keep that door locked and nobody can ever enter there again.
Okay po, sige, babalikan po natin yung iba pa pong mahalagang impormasyon galing po kay Captain Andrew sa pagbabalik po ng inyong PTV Special 4.